and welcome to Tonic Studios. I'm Leo and today I'm going to be showing you a make using the Harvest Moon trend. So the project that I've been doing today is using the Flower Power gift box that is in the craft kit this month. So I've done a couple of pieces ahead of time just because I needed time for them to dry, but I'm going to show you how I have put all of this together and then we're going to be finishing it off today. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how I've completed all of these panels, so on the sides, on here, and also on the top leaf parts as well. So I've made myself a template to do this. So just using 2 pieces of white cardstock, I've die cut the shape and then the lattice part inside and then stuck them together just with regular glue. And this then fits perfectly over my die cut piece. So I can use that as just like a template or like a mask. And for this one, I was using the glacier paste. So grabbing some of this and a spatula. You really don't need a lot of this to get a good texture on the finished piece. So I'm just going to line up my template over the top of my die cut piece here, hold it down, and then I'm using my spatula just to scrape sort of straight across the top. You don't want to press down too much, and you want to try and hold the template in place as much as possible so the product doesn't go under the edges. You want it just to go through the patterned part. Too much. So just pulling this, like I say, straight across the top. And you will end up covered in it, so just be prepared to be shiny for a couple of days afterwards. I kid, it washed straight off. Okay, last little section. So for this one I'm showing you here, I used the glacier paste, but on some of the other panels I did also use the embellishment mousse that came with the trend. And of course you do also have that expanding mousse as well. So if you wanted to add a little bit more texture and dimension, you could certainly use the expanding mousse in this way, and then using your heat tool, just emboss over the top. Okay, so you just want to peel up your template very carefully from the bottom. And there you can see my finished embossed piece. And I'm just going to clean up my fingers. So the next piece that I've done, again, sticking with these top sections, you can see that I've added this very thin bead of glitter right the way around the edge of all of these sort of leaf or petal shapes. And the way that I've done this is actually using the precision glue pen. So taking your die cut, if I just hold this up here, around the edge of your die cut, you'll notice that you have this sort of tiny little bit that is ever so slightly embossed, where the die actually presses through the cardstock. So I've basically used that as a guideline to add in my glue. So I'm going to do this on a piece of scrap cardstock just to catch the glitter. And taking my glue pen, I'm just going to run it very gently, and you want to be a bit careful with this. You don't want to squeeze out too much glue in one go. So I'm just going to put a very thin bead of glue around the edge of my die cut, just using that little embossed section as my guideline. So you need to squeeze fairly well with this. So this is a sort of half empty tube. If you've got a fresh tube, obviously be a little bit more gentle. You can always test it on a scrap piece of card first, just to make sure you're getting the right pressure on there. And you want to be able to actually see this bead of glue, so you don't want it to soak into the cardstock too much before you add the glitter, or it won't adhere properly. So ideally you want to still be able to see the sort of whiteness of the glue for this to work. I'm just going to finish up coming around this side. So final bend there. And then taking my glitter, so this is the pumpkin spice pure sheen glitter that came in the trend. I'm literally just going to shake this all over where I have just put that bead of glue. Tap off any excess. And then once the glue is dried, if you do have any sort of stray bits of glitter in the centre, you can just take a dry brush and brush those off. And I alternated those on this, so I did 2 in the pumpkin spice glitter, and then the second one I did in the copper glitter on there. So to finish off my box here, I've actually dyed this ribbon. So this is just plain white Craft Perfect ribbon. I have a spool of that here. And I've actually dyed it using one of the ink pads, again, from the trend. So I'm going to grab out this one. This is the Hawaiian Sunset colour, so it's sort of deep orangey colour in here. I'm going to snip myself a little piece of ribbon and just lay this down flat onto my glass mat. These glass mats are perfect when you're using any Nuvo product. You can use them as your palette, as your background, and they wipe clean so quickly. So taking my ink pad and my little piece of ribbon, I'm just going to hold the end, and then I'm just going to swipe my ink pad across my ribbon just to get a nice deep colour on there. Flip it over and do the other side as well. So this is a great tip. If you ever have a project that you don't have the perfect coloured piece of ribbon for, look to your ink pads. You can use those. If you have any alcohol markers, so any of the Nuvo markers, you can use those as well. They will also colour ribbon really nicely. And then you will need to leave this to dry, so just hang it up somewhere if you can, hang it from a shelf if you've got, say, a bulldog clip or something like that, just to hang it out of the way while it dries for you. And then you have the perfect coloured piece of ribbon for your project, which is what I have done on the top of this box. And now I'm just going to finish this off with a tag. So now that I have my ribbon all nicely dyed and suiting my project, I'm going to add on a little tag and finish the box off. So I have die cut a tag piece from the textured cotton paper, and then also the corresponding piece from the pearlescent paper in the pack. And I'm literally just going to glue these two together. So nice little bit of glue across the back of here. Add that onto the front. Because it's gluing onto a sort of slightly textured paper, I'm just going to hold it just for a few seconds, just to give it a moment to bond those layers together. Don't want your tag falling apart. Okay, now here comes the fun part. Now I've primed Alex for this, and I've said that I'm not very good at tying bows. It does often take me a long time, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So if you also struggle with tying bows on craft projects, please do pop me a comment below. Give me your moral support. So, here we go. Let's do this. Okay, so I want to tie this not too tight. I want my tag to hang quite freely. That's giving me a bit of an out, so if my bow doesn't come together perfectly, it's going to be fine. Okay. I'm going to make a confession here. I only very recently learned how to tie bows properly. Up until not so long ago, I still did the bunny ears method, where you do 2 loops and you tie them together. And for craft projects, I still do that. I find this so much easier than trying to do a loop around the other one. So, is this cheating? Yeah, probably. I don't mind. So I'm just going to hold the center of my bow, pull the ends through until I'm happy with them. And I'm going to snip the ends off, and again I'm going to snip my ribbon at an angle. I find that helps to stop it fraying on your finished project. Like so. And the last thing then I'm going to add to my little gift box here, I've die cut a bunch of these leaves from the Flower Power gift box set, and I've done them both in this sort of copper foil and also in the textured paper. I'm just going to add those in around the top, and I have my trusty bone folder here, so I'm going to give them a little bit more texture. So for a couple of them, what I did is I actually folded them down this sort of center score line that the die has put in place for me here. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a fold down there, and then just run it over the bone folder, just to give it some shape, and the same with this one. And the others are all done. It's not going to work quite as well with the textured paper, so you can just add those on as they are. So I'm going to pop tiny little bits of glue just onto the bases of the stems. And then just add them in around the edges of my gift box. I love how this trend looks all together. I think it's probably the most inspired that I've been in recent months with craft projects. When I saw it sort of all together, all of the Nouveau and all of the cardstock laid out, I just had so many projects running through my brain I had to make. There's another one that I made using just a whole bunch of old leaf dies that I had at home in all of the different cardstocks. I added all of the different Nouveau products all over it, and the colours all just work so beautifully together. It was one of those projects that it literally wouldn't get out of my head until I had put it together on paper. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that has craft moments like that, where it haunts your dreams. They're not nightmares, they are definitely dreams. Okay, a couple more leaves.
Get a moment in the middle of the night where you sit up and go, I've got it.
Do you sleep with a notepad next to your bed, or is that just me?
I used to. I use my phone now.
Yeah, okay. You go digital. I still prefer putting ideas down on actual paper. Yeah. I find that works better for me. I've tried all kinds of digital planning and things like that.
Good old pen and paper.
Absolutely. Got to be done. I'm a crafter, after all. It kind of makes sense, really, that I would gravitate to the paper. But I do. I'm not kidding. I do sit up in the middle of the night with, an idea. A kind of a eureka moment. Okay. I think this is going to be the last little one on here. Just going to add that under there. There we go. And that is my finished Flower Power gift box using a whole host of products from the Harvest Moon trend. I mustn't forget to mention, actually, just in the centre of here, of course, I have used a Dream Drop. You knew it was going to happen. My absolute favourite product, Dream Drops. There we go. So I hope you have enjoyed this. It's giving you some inspiration on how to use the trend in your own crafting projects. If you are making anything, please do tag us on social media. I would love to see what you have made. Happy crafting.